Hey everyone, there is a new episode of my Patreon exclusive podcast, Maybe You Can Relate, available now to the patrons of the Rural Woman podcast. You can get access to this full episode, plus extended episodes and patron-only episodes of the Rural Woman podcast when you join the patron community over on Patreon at tier 10 or higher. Here's your sneak peek of the new Maybe You Can Relate episode. Hey folks, I'm Katelyn Dubin. You may know me from such podcasts as the Rural Woman podcast, which you happen to be a proud member of the Patreon community, which is why you are hearing me through your earbuds right now. I'm coming to you from behind the mic in the Rural Woman podcast studio for this exclusive patron-only podcast to share with you a bit more about me, my personal life, our farm, my family, the wins, the struggles, really just a little bit of everything. I wanted to create a space to share my story with a more intimate audience to build a stronger connection. My goal here is to share about the things I've learned, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And maybe, just maybe, you can relate. Kind of the idea of this topic today came from, our life over the last month or two and seeding and the stress of, the rain coming and going and, water sitting in the field and how we've taken care of ourselves. And I say we, as I'll share a little bit about Justin in this episode, which I don't typically do. Again, I've said in previous episodes, I don't feel like other people's stories are mine to share. It's their stories to share themselves. But the stories I'll share is because I'm a proud wifey, I guess. I was looking back at Google photo memories of a summer vacation that we took. This would have been back in 2016. And I think that was the last time Justin has left the farm in the summer, or like anywhere between seeding and irrigating to harvest. So I was trying to rack my brain, and he's gone for maybe like a day trip somewhere here and there, but really any significant time off of the farm hasn't been taken. Another reason, I guess, that it makes me happy to see this is, and I'm sure there are folks listening to this who probably also, if you grew up in agriculture and you grew up with hired help on your farm or anything, there's the mentality of like the old school, in air quotes, leadership. I would say it's probably more old school being a boss, is you don't have personal relationships with your employees. You don't do anything with them. They're your employees. They're here to work. You're not their friend. I'll be honest, Justin grew up that way. So I really think, when we think about taking care of ourselves, it's really easy to let things slip whether that's physically, mentally, socially. For me, I know it's hard to get off of the farm during these busy times, and it is hard to keep up with relationships of everyone. And it's hard to be social on the internet during some times and phases in our life. And I feel like I'm kind of slowly getting out of my socially silent social media era, I guess, and kind of trying to rebuild those connections. You can help support the stories of women in agriculture to be shared through the Rural Woman podcast on Patreon. What is Patreon? It's a membership-based platform that helps fund and support creators like me to create and produce content like this that you all love. New to the Rural Woman podcast Patreon is ad-free listening and patron-only bonus content and exclusive episodes. Learn more and join the patron gang today at patreon.com/The Rural Woman Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Rural Woman Podcast. The Rural Woman Podcast is more than just a podcast. We are a community. A huge thank you to the Rural Woman Podcast team, audio editor Max Hofer, and admin support from Kim & Co. Online. A special thanks to our Patreon executive producers, Sarah Riedner from Happiness by the Acre and Carrie Munven from Laystone Farms. To learn how you can become a Patreon executive producer or other ways to financially support the show, head on over to wildrosefarmer.com to learn more. Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast to get the latest episodes directly on your playlist. And if you are loving the show, please be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other platform that accepts ratings and reviews. You can connect with us on social media at The Rural Woman Podcast and with me at Wild Rose Farmer. One of the best ways you can support the show is by sharing it. Send this episode to a friend or share on your social media. Let's strengthen and amplify the voices of women in agriculture together. Until next time, my friend, keep sharing your story.